Okay, in our prior video we went from Server Graphical Shell, the full-blown console, to the minimal server interface, and then we returned to the prior state. In this video we're going to go from the Server Graphical Shell, the full-blown server manager interface, straight to core. And as usual, there's two ways to do that. We can do that through the GUI, or we can do that with PowerShell. And we're going to look at first here how we would do that in the GUI, and then we're actually going to execute the task using PowerShell. So we would be removing roles and features here, and it's a feature, it's not a role, and we would scroll down to user interfaces and infrastructure. Now this is where, if we uncheck Server Graphical Shell and ran it from here, we would get the minimal server interface. We would still get Server Manager, but if we uncheck all of this, then we go to core. So actually what we're going to do in this case is we're going to uncheck all of this, and that would go straight to a core desktop. Okay, we just showed you how you would go to core using the Server Manager dashboard, and now we're going to go ahead and actually do that using PowerShell. So in PowerShell we have two commands that we run to remove those same two features that we saw in the GUI. And one of the commands would take us to minimal server interface, and if we run both of the commands we get all the way to core. So what we're going to do is uninstall Windows Feature Server-Gui-Shell. That one, if we ran it all by itself, we'd end up with minimal server interface, but if we add this one on as well, it takes us straight to core. And these two correlate to the two checkboxes that you saw in Server Manager. So we're going to pause here and let this run, and when it reboots we'll pick up again and see what it looks like. As usual, it shows these screens where it says working on features, both when it's shutting down and when it boots back up. Okay, now we're rebooted and we'll log in and take a look at it, see what we got. That's an error from Google being installed on the test server, which obviously doesn't work when we're in core, but this is core. You get a command prompt, that's it. We have PowerShell, or we have our friend sconfig. Now, on some of the betas and the early versions of Server 2012, there was a feature in here, number 12 was actually to restore the GUI, and in the production OSs, I guess it's gone. From what I've read, it had some buggy issues and it was removed. So the only way to get back from here to our GUI options, either minimal or the full full-blown install, we'd have to use PowerShell. So from here we can go back to the minimal server interface, or if we add on the Server Graphical Shell as well, we would be back to where we started. Now, one thing we do want to look at here is if you're working in Core and you accidentally close all your windows and you're sitting here looking at a black screen, once again, the way you get out of that is you do Control-Alt-Delete, Task Manager, File, Run New Task, and then you type PowerShell or CMD or whatever you want to start from there. Now, another thing, the way you would typically manage a Core install is you would use Server Manager from a different machine. So you wouldn't actually log on to each of the Core servers. You would have a centralized desktop or jump server that you used that would have Server Manager on it, and you would use that to remotely connect to these Core machines. So it'd be relatively easy to manage using Server Manager from some other machine, or by using sconfig here on the local machine, or if you need something else you can add the GUIs back. So what we're going to do now is add back both of the GUI features to get back to where we started. So we're going to do install Windows feature Server-Gui. Now that command right there, Server-Gui-Mgmt-Infra, would get us to the minimal interface. And if we add on Server-Gui, that would get us back to the full-blown, out-of-the-box Server Manager, Server Graphical Shell, everything. So we're going to hit execute on that. That'll run a while, and then when this reboots, we'll be back to where we started. So we've basically shown you how to start with your typical Server Graphical Shell, Server Manager install, how to go from there to Core by using either your Server Manager console or by using PowerShell. And then we've shown you how you would go from Core back to the minimal server interface or back to the full-blown Server Graphical Shell. Thank you.